It has been a year to the day since a group of protesters took to Tahrir Square in Cairo. Hundreds grew to millions, and within 3 weeks, 30-year President Hosni Mubarak was overthrown. We now know that Egypt kicked off what is called the Arab Spring of protests, resulting in a vastly different Egypt and Middle East. Or is it? My guest today is Thomas Gorguissian in Washington, who is a longtime Egyptian journalist currently working for El Tahrir. Thomas, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Let's start with this. As I said in the introduction, is Egypt vastly different today than it was a year ago? And is it where it wants to be?
At least we can say that it's not the same. It is different. But how different, it depends how you look to it. Definitely there is more awareness among people that what was there was not the proper Egypt for them. Definitely. Definitely there are more voices participating in talking about future, and definitely there is a better understanding of what are the people needs. As a matter of fact, the main thing which was broke in that relation between those who rule and those, let's say it was a conflict between the people who are in the power and the power of the people. As a matter of fact, from now on, as a matter of fact, people asking now the question, which is definitely was not asked for years, which is what we can do and how we can shape our relation with the ruler. Second thing, which is very important, that a lot of questions are asked about the future. And those who are asking, they are participating in finding the solution and not just relying on the ruler or those who are in the power to say what they have to do. The third factor, which is very important, that for the first time, there is no any generation gap between the question and the answer, which is young people are asking, young people are answering. Old people are asking, young people are answering. Young people are asking, old people are answering. So it's a national debate. And as a matter of fact, that national debate, whether we like it or not, or some people like it or not, and whether people are worried about it, definitely it's something healthy for the future.
So based on your answer, it sounds like a year later you're saying the parts are definitely healthier and that everybody is involved. The question is, after a year, are people agreeing on the process, and are we being too greedy, expecting that in a year's time we would reach that point?
I mean, you already asked the question and somehow answered at the end of the question that you say you are greedy. Definitely something which is built up in 30 years or 40 or 60 years, which was the case with the Armenia and other countries and Eastern European countries for years. It can be undone within weeks, but to build something new, it may take some time, especially as it was the case, to focus on the case of Egypt. For years, the education system and all these education and media in particular were trying to shape the people who are following whatever is done or whatever has to be done by the ruler, and it's a dictatorship or autocracy or whatever you can call it. And all these things, and police state or security state and all these type of states with education and with media shape people. So to undo it is easy, but to build the new one, as we say it, that's the hard part.
It's interesting that you mentioned Armenia in your answer. We've been 20 years since independence, and most people would tell you in an honest moment that we're not necessarily where we want to be. Who knows whether or not it'll take that long in the case of Egypt, but I would like your opinion as to, rather than ask for a prediction on time, which is an unreasonable request, what specific steps have to happen to get it more on the path of an agreed upon solution going forward?
I mean, it's as people in Egypt, especially those who are involved completely, and they were involved in the revolution, whether the young people or middle age or old people, which was a group of people that they were thinking and still thinking about all these things. First they said the revolution is, like as we say, Tahrir is. It's not a past. It's ongoing process. And this is not just an imaginary thing, because if you say, let's say, people who are participating in discussions were like 200 people 6 months ago, now 400 people are participating. Not because they're desperate because nothing is changing. No, because they are believing that if they don't participate, something not going to change. So it's a matter of participation first, second, awareness, third, education and media. I mean, media is playing a great role. I mean, a lot of media now is like trying to figure out what they have to do. It's not just like, because, even the media was for years, as in the case, I'm not going to say always refer to Armenia or other Eastern European countries. The media is always done the role of this messenger from the top to down. I mean, nobody was thinking about take the message from down to top. And to do that, it's a different perspective, as we are discussing now. Because as we said, usually when you don't ask different questions, you will get always the same answers.
Yeah, let's finish with this. The problem often, in my opinion, is that someone who's inside, like yourself, who really understands Egypt, understands this, but the outside world sees bits and pieces and feels like things aren't moving the way they're supposed to. For example, some of the unrest and not so great things that happened in November. And then we know we have what's going to happen today. So let me ask you, in what we see today, is it a commemoration? Is it protests? Are there going to be calls for more changes to government? What are we actually going to see today, and what will the outside world take from that?
We are going to see the two sides of the people, those who are taking it like for granted, or let's say, oh, what was done is enough, we can manage to do whatever, how it was done before. Those, they are going to make it like celebration, maybe even, as a matter of fact, officially done. But most of the people, I mean, as including intellectuals and others, they consider it's a moment to remember and remind, okay? To remember, let's say, 1,500 people were killed. To remember those who are injured, like 8,000. To remember those who are like 1,800 people who almost lost at least one of their two eyes. To remember and remind the main things, which was like what dignity, and freedom, and a new Egypt, democratic Egypt. I understand those who are outside always. I mean, as you know, I mean, you are now asking a question, and behind you are exact 20 years or 15 years of education. Nobody was following you or is going to follow you after this Q&A session, what you are doing or what I am doing. But in order to give you ask this question and I give you a certain answer, there is behind each of us a history. And of course, in the same time, there are part of it which is like dreaming, which is not just dreaming, is that means like abstract. No, it's like to realize something. And in order to do that, people need to do something tangible. I understand that. At the end of the day, you have to put bread on the table. For example, in order not to say that it's a rosy picture after a year, for example, 2 million people, almost 2 million people lost their job, according to statistics, because of it's related to tourism. And there is no stability in the country. So there is no tourist business. So in the same time, a lot of people lost their jobs and a lot of businesses are not there. But in the same time, I cannot say nothing was accomplished. At least, as some Egyptians, like with the sense of humor they have, they said, at least we realized that we were in a very bad situation. Comes out now, what we see now, even in a bad way, which is the optimistic point of view, is not the result of what happened in revolution. No, it was the result of what was happening before the revolution. Because if the system is not working, which means that a lot of money was spent just for security, for oppression, and for just getting whatever is needed day by day, but nobody was thinking how Egypt is going to be in the coming 10 or 15 or 20 years.
The passion and energy in your voice is infectious. It sounds like, if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong, but it sounds like it's fair to characterize you as optimistic about Egypt's future.
Yeah, I mean, it's always optimistic because as we always were saying, that denial it's not a Nile, it's not a river, it's a state of mind. Okay, we can say in the same way, Tahrir is not a square or an expression or a place you can go. It's a state of mind. In this sense, that when you realize that you can do something, or the Egyptians realize that they can do something, that's why they start to do it. Okay, they found a mess. They have to fix it. it's not always, people have to fix their countries, not just to take a visa and go another country.
Thomas Gorguissian, thank you so much for joining us today. The great thing, in my opinion, about these types of situations is if we talk to you from a month from now, if we talk to you 2 months from now, if we talk to you from a year from now, there will be significant, tangible difference, and that's what's exciting about this time. So thank you very much.